Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. All together, please. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Kanandana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Sena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapatantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yukta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvadutam Prijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padang Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam He Krishna Karana Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapcha Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhana Sutadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So, reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, translation and commentary, His Divine Grace, Sri Lesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Today's verse is 13th chapter, verses 8 to 12. And I've been asked to speak on three of those three paragraphs within the full purport. So what we'll do is, because it's 4 verses, we'll not, I'll just say once the Sanskrit, then you repeat. And then we'll go straight to the English translation, because you must have done that days before.
It's done yesterday, so nice.
Yeah, but we'll just chant the Sanskrit for auspiciousness, repeating Krishna's words. So, I'll say once, one line, then you repeat, okay? Amānitvam, adambhitvam, ahiṁsā kṣāntir ārjavam, ācāryopāsanaṁ śaucaṁ, sthairyam ātma-vinigrahaḥ, indriyārtheṣu vairāgyam, anahaṅkāra evacha, janma-mṛtyu-jarā-vyādhi, duḥkha-doṣānudarśanam, asaktir anabhiṣvaṅgaḥ, putra-dāra-gṛhādiṣu, nityaṁ sama-cittatvam, iṣṭāniṣṭopapattiṣu, cānanya-yogena, bhaktim avabicharini, vivikta-deśa-sevitvam, jana-saṁsadi, adhyātma-jñāna-nityatvaṁ, tattva-jñānārtha-darśanam, idam iti proktam, ajñānam yad ato-nyata. So, translation, Srila Prabhupada. Humility, pridelessness, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, approaching a bona fide spiritual master, cleanliness, steadiness, self-control, renunciation of the objects of sense gratification, absence of false ego, the perception of the evil of birth, death, old age and disease, detachment, freedom from entanglement with children, wife, home and the rest, even-mindedness amid pleasant and unpleasant events, constant and unalloyed devotion to me, aspiring to live in a solitary place, detachment from the general mass of people, accepting the importance of self-realization and philosophical search for the absolute truth, all these I declare to be knowledge, and besides this, whatever there may be, is ignorance. So, I was asked to speak on 3 chapters. Do you know where you finished last? Huh?
Maybe tolerance means that was thereafter.
Simplicity, I think.
Yes.
Yes, from simplicity. 3 chapters from simplicity. So, these are Prabhupada's explanations, elucidations on the earlier topics. Simplicity means that without diplomacy one should be so straightforward that he can disclose the real truth even to an enemy. As for acceptance of the spiritual master, that is essential, because without the instruction of a bona fide spiritual master, one cannot progress in the spiritual science. One should approach the spiritual master with all humility and offer him all services so that he will be pleased to bestow his blessing upon the disciple. Because a bona fide spiritual master is a representative of Krishna, if he bestows any blessings upon his disciple, that will make the disciple immediately advanced without the disciples following the regulative principles. Or, the regulative principles will be easier for one who has served the spiritual master without reservation. Cleanliness is essential for making advancement in spiritual life. There are 2 kinds of cleanliness, external and internal. External cleanliness means taking a bath, but for internal cleanliness one has to think of Krishna always and chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, and Hare Hare. This process cleans the accumulated dust of past karma from the mind. Steadiness means that one should be very determined to make progress in spiritual life. Without such determination, one cannot make tangible progress. And self-control means that one should not accept anything which is detrimental to the path of spiritual progress. One should become accustomed to this and reject anything that is against the path of spiritual progress. This is real renunciation. The senses are so strong that they're always anxious to have sense gratification. The senses should be gratified to keep the body fit so that one can one should not cater to these demands which are not necessary. The senses should only be gratified to keep the body fit so that one can discharge his duty in advancing in spiritual life. The most important and uncontrollable sense is the tongue. If one can control the tongue, then there is every possibility of controlling the other senses. The function of the tongue is to taste and to vibrate. Therefore, by systematic regulation, the tongue should always be engaged in the tasting of the remnants of foodstuffs offered to Krishna and chanting Hare Krishna. As far as the eyes are concerned, they should not be allowed to see anything but the beautiful form of Krishna. That will control the eyes. Similarly, the ears should be engaged in hearing about Krishna and the nose in smelling the flowers offered to Krishna. This is the process of devotional service, and it is understood here that Bhagavad Gita is simply expounding the science of devotional service. Devotional service is the main and sole objective. Unintelligent commentators on the Bhagavad Gita try to divert the mind of the reader to other subjects. But there is no other subject in the Bhagavad Gita than devotional service. So, Makam karoti vachalam pangam laite grim yat kripatamaham bande Shri Guru Dinatarinam. So that is a very nice sentence, isn't it? At the end of that paragraph. There is no other subject in Bhagavad Gita than devotional service. Yes. So these symptoms here, and this big long list that we read, these are the symptoms of somebody who is well situated in the transcendental energy. Sometimes somebody may read this, humility, prideless, non-violence, so on and so forth, and they may consider, oh, they're good qualities to have in the material world. Yes, correct. But the devotee, he begins to manifest these qualities as he becomes situated in the spiritual consciousness. These are the qualities of the soul. The soul is not proud, is not violent, it's very tolerant, the soul is simple, so on and so forth. All these qualities are manifest by the devotee who is situated in the spiritual energy. And as Prabhupada finished there, that there's no other subject than devotional service, because it is only by devotional service that Krishna can be known. Bhakti-mam abhijananti yavanyas tasmi tattvataha. Krishna can only be known in truth by bhakti. Because that, as Prabhupada mentioned there, if you have a spiritual master, he can bless you, and he can also make it easier for you to follow the regulative principles of spiritual life. So the bona fide spiritual master is Krishna tattva veti, say Guru hoy. Sometimes there's big discussion, but if you see here, Prabhupada says, bona fide spiritual master. Bona fide, correct, qualified. Just like a bona fide teacher of music is somebody who knows the musical subject. A bona fide doctor is a doctor who knows the medical subject. So a bona fide spiritual master, jnana-saṁsadi, Krishna says in another part, you should tadvidi pratipatena, you should approach him and ask him questions. And he can explain the truth because he has seen the truth. He's situated in realization of the Supreme. And as such, he is able to teach you how through driti, this determination that's mentioned, how you can also come to that spiritual platform. So, Krishna tattva veti. Tattva means the truth of Krishna, veti, say Guru hoy. So that person who is realized in Krishna, he can be a bona fide spiritual master. And that bona fide spiritual master, being situated in Krishna, in the spiritual consciousness, he will manifest these qualities without separate endeavor. In the material platform, we may try to, cultivate these, non-violence and so on, and determination and detachment from general mass of people. and also even-mindedness. We may think it's good to be dhira, not disturbed. But we're not disturbed. We're not disturbed by happiness and distress, fame and infamy, when we are situated in the spiritual platform, because we're realized in Krishna. So that spiritual consciousness, it means, I remember a lecture I was listening some time back of Srila Prabhupada, and he says, Krishna consciousness means to mix your consciousness with the consciousness of Krishna. Just like these lights, the light from these lights is mixing with the sunlight. So the individual, that light and the sun are separate, but their emanation, the sunlight, is mixing. So Krishna, he always remains an individual, and so does this spiritual energy. And so Krishna consciousness means to come to the transcendental platform where your consciousness will mix with the consciousness of Krishna. But your individuality, you as a soul, will remain individual. You will not. The mistaken conception often is that the soul merges into the Supreme and becomes one and loses, and that's the idea, I'll become God, I'll merge into God. And that usually that conception of God is an impersonal conception. But the consciousness and your consciousness, it implies a person who is conscious. It implies a being who is emanating consciousness. Just like the sun is emanating sunlight. The sun and the sunlight are different. So we have consciousness, we are emanating from the soul. Krishna is the Supreme Soul, Nityanam. He is the Supreme Soul, Chaitana's Chaitananam. And our consciousness in the spiritual platform is merged on the spiritual platform. And therefore, that is the state of enlightenment. Because on the transcendental platform, there is no ignorance. There is only realization of Param Satyam, the Supreme Truth. In the material platform, we become under illusion. We analyze according to our speculation, according to our senses, according to defective knowledge we've gained in the material world. And we come to illusory conclusions. Oh, I think Marxism is a good solution to the world's problems. No, I think capitalism is a good solution to the world's problems. No, I think National Socialism is a good solution. Oh, I think feminism is a good solution. I think this ism or that ism. So the material world, people, they see that there is defects in human behavior, there's defects in the world, and they think that they will make some material adjustment. So that is the ignorance of the materially conditioned. They are ignoring how everything is the energy of Krishna. Vasudeva Savamiti. So they are in the illusory energy. Just like if you walk away from the fire, you progressively enter into more darkness. Until this fire is a distant object, if you're in a forest clearing. But if you're near the fire, you see things clearly. So earlier in the Gita, Krishna explains that when you're enlightened with that knowledge by which everything is revealed, then that knowledge reveals everything, just as the sun, when it arises, reveals everything in the morning. Before the morning rises, of course, we can't see clearly, we need a torch, we need street lights, we need home lights. But when the sun is up, we see everything clearly. So the state of darkness is the state of ignoring the existence of the Supreme Lord. And therefore there's four. Namam duskritina mudha prapajante naradama. That there's four category, Krishna explains, of these people who ignore and don't ever surrender in some way or other to a conception of a supreme person. First one is the naradama. So that fallen soul who dismisses the existence of a supreme spiritual source, a supreme personal source for creation, is the first one, naradama, which means the lowest of mankind. Mudha is first. Namam duskritina mudha. So the mudha also means ass. So the person that doesn't believe in a transcendental realm or a transcendental personal creator, and that is the case with all these four, they hear about God or some spiritual thing, but they consider that that spiritual thing is just another idea coming from the material world. The materialist sees no dividing line between matter and spirit. We know from the Shastra that there are three categories, basic divisions of the energy of Krishna, the Vishnu Paran. The first one is the Chit Shakti, that is the conscious energy. Chit means conscious, the spiritual energy. Then there is the Achit Shakti, which is the material energy, which is unconscious, like this table, the floor. They are Achit. And then the third is between the two, that is the Jiva Shakti. The Jiva Shakti is spiritual in the same way that a spark is the same as fire. Krishna is compared, by way of explanation, to a big fire. And this individual living entity is like a spark. He has the same quality as the fire, but his size is small. The fire is one, but he has many sparks. So there are unlimited individual spark-like living entities emanating from the Supreme Soul. They're all the same in quality, but their quantity is minute. So because they're minute in quantity, if they ignore the spiritual platform, the Chit Shakti, the conscious platform, and they turn to the material energy, they become overwhelmed. Their consciousness is directed to matter, and they think, yes, matter is the solution. So then they take to materialism. They explain everything in matter. So when they hear about the soul, they think, oh, the soul, that they don't think it means a particle of the divine, a divine spark. They think, oh yes, the soul, that is the emotions of man, right? Or the desire, or the dreams. They think it is a subtle material element. You understand? So they dismiss the soul as an entity, conscious entity within the material body. They think that the soul of man or the soul of a person is his dreams, his desire, right? So they dismiss the soul. And then the Chit Shakti, or the spiritual energy, or the spiritual creation, there are two basic divisions. There's the spiritual creation and there's the material creation. In the material creation, matter and spirit are mixed. But in the spiritual creation, everything is spiritual. So those materialistic people who are averse to surrendering unto Krishna, they look at the material energy and they think, people talk about the spiritual world and eternal life and God in the sky. And they say, oh, we are all evolved from matter. And because matter is very overwhelming with storms and earthquakes, and the sun is hot, and we don't know what to do, so as a psychological benefit, we have invented the idea of a God in the sky who will look after us. Because that is what we do when we're children. We look at mummy and daddy and think, mummy and daddy will protect me. I'm a little child, like we see in the temple, running around here and there. And then when one falls over, they run to their mummy and daddy. Oh, mummy, I fell down the steps. So they think that mankind, when it grows up, it creates a big daddy in the sky. So they say things like that. You must have heard, right? So therefore they dismiss the big daddy in the sky as just being a material psychological event. And they have different theories, like Karl Marx famously, he said, religion is the opium of the people, right? Opium is in Hindi hashim, right? It makes you very intoxicated and you don't feel pain, right? They derive morphine from that. So that if you have an operation, they give you a shot of morphine until you recover or something like that. So they think, oh, we're suffering in this world, so people have invented a spiritual world and a big daddy in the sky as a way of getting rid of the suffering in our minds and our anxiety. So they think there's just matter. That's materialism. In philosophical terms, materialism means to have a concept that only matter exists. And that's what's very in Kali Yuga, right? There was a big bang, and then matter came into existence. There was nothing, and then a big bang, and then matter came, and then the matter came together, and it created conscious beings. And then the conscious beings started to fly, and some jumped in the ocean, and some started running around, and some became bugs, and they all had a great time being conscious and trying to stay alive. But there's no real point, because the Big Bang was, somehow it happened, nobody knows. So they analyze everything with this conception in mind. There's no spirit. The spirit is just, there's no dividing line, a spiritual creation and a material creation. And the soul, belonging to spiritual creation, but he's entangled in the material world, trying to lord it over the material energy and enjoy. They dismiss that idea. They think, yes, we're suffering, but this is the nature of life. So now you should make money and get a big television and go on holiday, and that's the solution. So different ideas. And we'll do that through socialism or thisism or thatism or thatism. So those four people, there's four branches, Krishna explains. There's one is the mudha. He thinks everything is matter. Therefore I will enjoy by being an ass. An ass carries a burden, you know, the washerman. He works very hard. So that person thinks, I'll get a job, I'll earn money, then I can get a wife, I can have sex and I can have children, and maybe I can make more money or make business. Or he thinks that by working hard like a donkey he will succeed in his desires. And those desires are generally three things, right? Dhanam, wealth, janam, position in society, followers, status. I want to be famous. It's one thing to want money, but sometimes people say, I want to be a big pop star, or I want to become a famous leader of a political party. I want to become respected in society. So they want janam. And then sundaram, they want sex life, right? Three things. So by working like a donkey, like using my energy in that direction, I'll get dhanam, janam, sundaram. And then the next one is the naradama. The Naradama means the lowest class of person. They are very prevalent in Kali Yuga. Lowest means they have no sense of morality. Because everything is matter and there's no God, then you may as well just lie, cheat, steal, because after you die, nobody's going to put you in heaven or hell. So if you have to murder, rob, pillage, naradama, invade a country, take it over, exploit the riches, then you should do that. And then they have the philosophy, the weak survive and the strong. The weak are there to support the strong, and we're strong and we are the greatest. But they're the lowest class of people because they have no sense of morality. Even the Buddha at least has an idea, I should do some good work and get some pay. But the Naradama has no moral principle at all. He'll do anything. These, as they used to say in English, a what not. What not. What will he not do? A what not. So then the third one is amaya apritagyan. So amaya apritagyan is somebody with knowledge, but it's stolen by illusion. So now for example, they've discovered now DNA. So now they think, DNA, they're materialist, DNA explains everything. People believe in God because of something in their DNA. They say somebody is tall because of their DNA. Now there's some knowledge there, right? There's some, definitely in the DNA, we inherit physical characteristics from our parents, there's some knowledge. But they think that that's the total explanation. So they go beyond the physical to the spiritual, and they say things like that. There's a God gene. And that's why the Muslim terrorists, they have an overactive God gene. And therefore they believe in Allah, and they are ready to conquer the world for Allah, because in their DNA there's a gene that's too active. So they have some knowledge from their scientific analysis of the world, but their conclusions are all wrong. Maya apritagyan. Their knowledge is stolen by illusion. They don't see it in relation to the Supreme Lord as His creation. They see it in the basis of some material speculative analysis. Like one time I was watching a documentary, and it was about lions in Africa. And so there's a lion pride, and there may be 2 males and so many females. And it was saying that the male lion wants to have lots of children, baby cubs, lion cubs, so that he can pass his DNA on and live in that way. So I was listening to that and I was thinking, the lion doesn't know anything about DNA. He's not been to college. When he's attracted to a nice lioness, he's not thinking, now's the chance to pass my DNA on. He's just thinking, she looks nice. He doesn't know anything about gene code. He doesn't know anything about that. But they're saying this on the television. You know, I mean, it was on YouTube, you know, a Savari video.
National Geography.
Huh?
National Geography.
Yeah, something like that. You know, the bull elephant wants to pass on his genes. No, he doesn't. He's got no idea about it. So this is my... and he's probably not very anxious to know about the gene theory or DNA or mRNA or whatever. He's never read a biology book in his life, guaranteed. But they are proposing this openly, the commentator, right? Because now they've found this DNA. Oh, that's the explanation. The lion wants to pass on his DNA. The elephant wants to pass on his DNA. No, that is illusory. So that is the modern scientific research. Through research, they have developed some knowledge of the material energy, but their understanding is completely illusory, right? They're ready to say it's a gene code, but they're not ready to, you know, everything is a code. Every code, for example, this is a code. The alphabet is a code. It's intelligently designed. And when we read the book, we decode it, right? So all codes are intelligently designed. So the gene code is a code. Therefore, the gene code is intelligently designed. There's your proof of an intelligent designer. You understand? Catch the idea? Huh? You know, they always say, all men are mortal. Socrates is a man, therefore Socrates is mortal. So all codes, like musical code, when you read music, it's not music, but you decode it intelligently. And that musical notation didn't come into existence because of a big bang. The alphabet didn't come into existence as part of the big bang. Rather, somebody worked out, well, we'll make the sound this, we'll make the b sound this, we'll make the c sound this, right? It's intelligently designed. So right in the middle of every molecule of a living being, or there is the gene code. So if it's a code, it's intelligently designed. The mRNA goes to the gene code. Say you have a cut on your leg, so you need some skin cells. So the messenger RNA goes and it reads in the DNA molecule, oh, how to assemble proteins to make a skin cell. So it goes there and it decodes that, and then it assembles the proteins, and then by the body they're carried to your cut, and then the cut is repaired. So there's a code. There's a code for a hair cell, a stomach wall cell. It's all in the gene code. So if there is a code, it must have been intelligently designed. So that they won't think. They won't think, oh, if there's a code, it was intelligently designed, therefore there's an intelligent designer. They won't think that. They'll think, no, the elephant wants to pass on his gene code. That's all they'll think about. Because they don't want to recognize some supreme. So then the fourth one is asuram bhavam ashrita. That is the person who has taken shelter of the asuric bhav, the demoniac nature. And even though he may realize that there is some kind of supreme designer, supreme creator, he will refuse. Oh, don't tell me about God. Like Ravana, like Kamsa. Huh? Don't tell me about Krishna. Don't tell me about Vishnu. He killed my brother. I'm going to kill him and then I'll be Vishnu. I'll take his position. So they want to destroy the idea of God. And that's also there, right? they think, these philosophers, they think that we have to save humanity from the idea of God and a spiritual world. So therefore, Marxism, right? They kill all the religious people, they kill all the people that believe in knowledge, and they want everyone to be stupid workers. So this is asuric bhav. They want to construct heaven on earth. They think, oh, we'll make that. You have a dream of a spiritual world, we'll make it here. But they only make hell. And if you disagree with their idea of heaven on earth, they'll kill you, right? Like they did in Russia, the communists. 50 million people died in the Second World War. But then when the communists took over Russia, they killed about 80 million Russians. They killed more than the Second World War. And then Mao Zedong, another Marxist, he killed, nobody really knows, but about 100 million Chinese, right? Pol Pot, he killed 1/3 of the Cambodian people. He was a communist, Marxist. So these people are there, yes. We're going to have heaven on earth, and if you don't believe it, we'll kill you. So by making the world hell, they'll get to heaven. So they have no idea about anything. But they are ravenous, they're mad. So these are the 4 categories, and this is what's going on, especially now in Kali Yuga. People work like donkeys, they have no morality, many people, or any scientific understanding of the world is covered by an illusory interpretation. And then you have the demoniac people that want to reduce the population, that want to make the material and want to rule over the material world. So, but the devotee and you see that's also earlier in the Gita, Krishna says, Vitaraga bhaya krodha. That there's 3 ways to look at the material energy. One is raga, these are material world, they're attracted to the material energy. They want to enjoy. Oh, beautiful women, beautiful wine, beautiful song, let's enjoy. Vitaraga bhaya. Then there's some people who are fearful of the material world. Bhaya means fear. So they look at the material world and they think, it's a place of death. I get a motorbike, but if I fall off, I'll break my leg. Or bhaya, or they've been in a war, and all their friends were blown up in a bomb. So they have, what do they call it now? They call it post-traumatic stress disorder. So they're very fearful of the material world. Right, there's some people, it's called agoraphobia. They can't go out of their home. They can't go out in the street. They're fearful. So some people are attracted, like a young man, he thinks, I can enjoy this world. But then somebody's had a terrible shock and they have bhaya. And then krodha. Krodha means, I've tried to enjoy the material world, but I can't. So I'm frustrated. So they want to destroy. And ultimately they want to destroy themselves. They become suicidal. Or they want to destroy the world. Or they want to destroy a nation. Krodha. But manmaya man ashraya. But my devotees, Krishna explained, they take shelter of me. They see the material world as being defective, and they take shelter of me. And how do you do it in Kali Yuga? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. That is Kirtanam. But before that is Shravanam. That means you absorb the message of Krishna, the message of Bhagavatam, and you train your mind to see the spiritual platform. And that is taking shelter of Krishna. And so throughout human history, people have taken shelter of the spiritual platform. In many, not even just in the Vedic tradition, but in the Muslim tradition, they have their saints who withdrew from the world, who went to a solitary place and they prayed to God, the supreme controller. They have Christian saints, so on and so forth. But the knowledge is in its perfect form in the Vedas. And there, the scientific understanding of how to take shelter of the spiritual platform is given. And so, like we were saying earlier, this list of people, of these symptoms of somebody who is in spiritual knowledge, they should be cultivated also. Prabhupada makes that point, if you remember. Also, in the purport. These qualities should be cultivated during sadhana. Srimad Bhagavatam. Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavata akinchina sarva gunais tetra samaste surya. All the good qualities develop in one who has attained the stage of devotional service. So these qualities are natural to the soul. We may have rag for the material world, we may have bhaya, fearfulness, we may have frustration with the material world. But if we take shelter of Krishna, the science of Krishna consciousness, then we can enter into the spiritual energy step by step. And then these qualities will strongly manifest. But in the period of practice, when we're trying to come out of the material energy by following regulative principles, by getting sadhu sangha, by taking knowledge from guru, shastra and acharya, when we're trying to come out of them, we should also cultivate these things. We should cultivate humility. What is humility? It means I'm not interested in being glorified. And these even-mindedness in happiness and distress. We shouldn't get carried away by happiness. We shouldn't become depressed when we have something that distresses us. We shouldn't give in to distress. Whenever we have a negative thought, we can pray to Krishna, Rishikesh. Oh, I'm thinking in a negative way, but you're Rishikesh, Lord of the senses in the mind. Please take away the negative thoughts in my mind. This is taking shelter of Krishna, right? Right? Many people in Kali Yuga, they have mental distress because passion and ignorance is so strong. So then they take maybe some magic pill from the pharmacy. But that may be necessary in extreme cases. But generally, if we have negative thoughts, we can pray to Krishna. Please remove these negative thoughts. Oh, this person didn't speak nicely to me. I'm going to get revenge. Oh, negative thought. Krishna, please make me tolerant. Please take away this negative thought. And Krishna will respond. So this is cultivating all these qualities. Humility, steadiness. Oh, Krishna, please make me steady. Please make me determined. Dhriti. Please make me one-pointed. What's that verse? Ekeha kurunandana. So the materialistic people they all have this many ideas, but devotee knows, if I take shelter of Krishna, manmana mad ashraya, because Krishna is the ashraya. Ashraya means the foundation, the shelter. So Krishna ashraya. Just like this building, the shelter of this building is the foundation, it's the basis. So the basis of creation, material and spiritual, is Krishna. Sutrimani gana iva. Everything rests upon me like pearls rest upon a thread. So we all have neck beads. Why are they neck beads? Why are they a necklace? Because they're resting upon the thread. So the thread that's woven three-dimensionally in all dimensions through the whole creation is Krishna. So Krishna, we take shelter of that. Krishna Ashraya, we take shelter of that. So by practicing this, we draw those qualities out from the soul. So, any questions on this topic?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So the material energy, we sometimes see like big names we hear like Amazon or Bill Gates. So unless they have some ability, how they are successful?
The materialists, what? They're
Like Bill Gates, Amazon,
sorry?
Bill Gates,
Bill Gates.
Amazon, and all these people who are very rich.
Amazon.
Amazon.
Oh, Amazon. That's not a person.
Whatever factor.
Yeah.
So how they are
That's a
successful?
river.
Pardon?
So it's a river.
It's also a river, but Amazon is also
Yeah.
a big
Okay.
river.
All right.
So they are not devotees, but they have so much success.
That's their material karma. That's the. You see, this life is. We have many, many lifetimes. As Krishna says, Arjuna, never was there a time when you did not exist, nor me, nor all these kings, nor in the future will there be a time when we don't exist. But I can remember, I'm the Supreme, but you have forgotten. So yes, these people that become rich or very powerful, just like you may look at a mafia, and he's got a big house and a big car. But what is 70 years, right? What is 70 years? It's a blip. But what's his next life going to be? If he lied and cheated and bullied people to make money, and he was running prostitutes and gambling and drugs. So often, that's what I'm saying. Often if you get this material opulence in Kali Yuga, it's a curse. Can be. But if you do get that opulence, then that is karma phal. This can be the fruit of your previous activities. For example, in this world, there are people who are very rich, but they don't believe in God. But they believe, I should give in charity. So they may make $1 billion. So they may open hospitals here, they may give food to people, they may give free treatment, they may do so many things. So in their next life they will get the fruit of that. They will also become materially opulent. So some people are like that. They don't always become naradama, immoral sense enjoyers. They may think. So that is the lower planetary systems, Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Tala, Tala, Mahatala, Rasatala, Patala. These lower planetary systems, these are the areas where, and within those areas you get very opulent material surroundings. But the idea of God is absent. So they are, you can say, atheistic people, but they've got good material karma. Just like somebody may be born very beautiful, a beautiful girl. So in a past life, she's looked after herself, she's taken care of her health, she's done exercises, meditations, but she's got no desire to know God. So she may be born as a beautiful girl in the next life. So this life is just one life. You understand? And how we use our material facilities, that will show in the next life. Just like in an apartment block. two people, there's one apartment A and there's apartment B. Apartment A, the man wakes up, oh, I feel good. And he goes to work in a good frame of mind. In apartment B, the person gets up, he's got a headache, stomach feels bad, drinks some coffee, he goes to work and he's in a bad day. Why? The man in apartment A, he went to bed early, took a nice glass of milk. The man in apartment B, he was out drinking and fighting and cheating in the gambling house. So he wakes up with a bad result the next day. So, do you understand the point? If we just look at somebody now, we have no real knowledge, understanding about karma and the soul and action and reaction in the material world, we may think that why is this bad person rich? But if he's a bad person and he's using his material opulence to make more sinful, then he's unfortunate. Often somebody may be very poor, and because of that poverty, they may pray to God. They're more fortunate than the rich man. That might be going around wanting to vaccinate and reduce the world population because he's got lots of money and thinks that he can decide the fate of everyone. So the poor man is more fortunate because he's got enough to live on, but he's praying to God, oh, please help me, God, I have a family, please help me. So he's establishing a connection with the Supreme that is more fortunate.
Can I add something more on this point?
Yes.
Let's think of some positive names like Ambarish Prabhu, like Harrison
Yeah.
Ford,
Yeah.
like Ambanis, Dalmias, many film actors, cricketers, they are also devotees.
Also the Tata family, I hear, they always, they're very rich, Tata family, right? But they are always opening temples and giving knowledge, worshipping the deity. Now they may be wanting material opulence, but they're very careful that they live piously, right? So, you see, in Kali Yuga people think that by adharma I'll get artha. By being a liar and a cheat and a rogue, I'll get material wealth. But actually the best way to get material wealth is to be very honest, to be very generous, to give to spiritual people, genuinely spiritual people, right? To help people who are needed, right? It's explained that if you give charity to needy people, you'll get that back in your next life. But it's explained if you give charity to a sadhu, a real sadhu, you will get that back in an unlimited portion. Because your connection is there to the spiritual world. So these are the laws of karma. So yes, in India, because the Vedic culture is here for so long, many families, they know that if I do good work, my wealth will be maintained. But a crazy fellow may think, I'll spend and I'll do anything I want. But his wealth is buying a ticket to a lower life, a lower form in the future. So this is what's meant by, if you're enlightened, you don't just see material opulence. You see the causes. You become enlightened. Your consciousness is mixed with Krishna. So you're out of illusion. You start to see things as they are. Do you see the point? So you try to cultivate these qualities, do good sadhana, and don't care if you see a rich man or a poor man or a this or a that. Leave that. But you do your bhajan towards Krishna. You understand? Do your bhajan, concentrate on that. And the world, there's always going to be the shades of grey and good and bad, but don't become distracted. Even in the temple, oh, this person's not good, why is he in the temple? Don't go down that avenue if you don't have to. If you're a manager, you may have to take care of something. But if you are not involved, don't be distracted from your bhajan, your worship of Krishna. Oh, he's good, he's bad, I don't like this, the cook's no good, this is good, he's a this, he's a that. Then you're on the material platform. The whole point of sadhana bhakti is to gain a conception of the Supreme Lord from sadhu, from shastra, and focus on that and do your bhajan. Like we were saying last, right? The 12th chapter. You just chant with love and affection for Krishna, that's your bhajan. Right? I'm not saying that you're doing this in any way, but you understand, we have to be careful about becoming distracted, trying to manage the world. It's hard enough to manage our own senses, is it not? If I could manage my tongue, if I can manage my sleeping, if I can manage my activities, that is a big job. As they say, what do they say? If you want to change the world, change yourself. It's easy to point the faults in others, but you know what they say, right? Oh, he's bad. One finger is pointing here, and three pointing here. So, this is traditional but valid wisdom, right? Don't become too concerned. Prabhupada said you always see the good in others. Try to see the good. You understand? And like Mr. Amazon or Mr. What's another river? Mr. Kaveri or whatever. Let them carry on in their way. If you can. Like for example, Mr. Amazon, right? He's selling some spiritual books. He started selling books, right? Many religious books there. That's he's selling, he's getting profit, but he's also getting benefit. He's spreading spiritual books, knowledge, right? He started selling books. So there's some good there. Also, what's he doing, Mr. Amazon? He's supplying things that people need, right? He's not paying any taxes, but he's supplying things, so that's not, right? He's not selling guns, right?
Last month, Bill Gates' wife divorced him. Last month, Bill Gates' wife divorced him.
Yes, he was flying on an aeroplane somewhere, so they say. Yeah.
And in Gita, Lord says, peace is better than money.
What is?
Peace is better than
Peace.
money.
Yeah, Krishna says, without peace, how can there be happiness? That's Krishna says. Yeah, so Mrs. Gates went out the window. She went out the front gate and said goodbye to Mr. Gate, who made a lot of money from windows in his house. He made money because at every window there's a gate that you have to pay to go through. Windows has lots of gates to pay.
Like Michael Jackson, what he got in the end of the life?
Toll gate. His name should be, next life he may be born as a toll gate. What's that, Michael Jackson?
Like Michael, what he got in the end of the life?
Well, that's it. Very unhappy.
Practical aspects.
Well, that's often the case, right? Isn't it? Talented people, they make songs, but then they become overwhelmed by all the money and the bad atmosphere around pop stars, and they start taking intoxications, and then they go down. And so that's why these things are there, right? Be careful, because bhaya, right? I said raga, bhaya, krodha. Be very careful, the material energy. It's like a snake. It's like a snake. It's got fangs. Don't stand on the tail of a snake, it'll turn around and bite. So don't think that, oh, it's okay, I'll get drunk once. You may die in an accident that same day. So a devotee, he's careful about karma, very careful. Okay, any other comments, questions? Yes.
You said that in Krishna consciousness, we merge our consciousness with Krishna consciousness. So then how do we maintain our individuality?
Well, like I was explaining, that light bulb is merging its light with that light bulb, right? But they're individual.
But in person, how do you maintain individuality with that?
Because you're an individual eternally.
But if I mix with Krishna consciousness, my consciousness, how I maintain, I can't make that.
Because you're eternally a spirit soul. Krishna says, Mavaivamsa jiva loka, jiva bhuta sanatana. You're an individual soul, eternally. That's your constitutional nature. You understand?
But once it merges with Krishna consciousness...
No, that's what I was explaining. The consciousness will mix with the consciousness in the spiritual world. In the material world, our consciousness is mixed with the material energy.
Mix, not merge.
Mixed, merged, whatever. The understanding you have to get. So, in the spiritual platform, our consciousness is mixed with the spiritual energy. We're still individuals. You understand? Just like you have a family, right? So when you're all together, your consciousness is mixed. There's a certain atmosphere in the house. But your son, your child, your husband, they're all individuals. But there's a good mood. The house is happy today. So your consciousness is mixing, right?
I was thinking that you don't have to make any special efforts to be individual, even if you have merged.
Look, say again, I didn't quite...
Once you merge with Krishna consciousness, that means you are enlightened, and then you don't have to make any special effort to keep yourself as individual.
No, you don't have to be, because you're eternally, your constitution is to be an individual. So you merge in the spiritual world, but the example Rupa Goswami gives is that a parrot, a green parrot, enters a green tree. So it looks like from a distance the parrot's gone into the green tree, he's merged with the tree. But if you go closer, you see the parrot is still the parrot. Huh? So the nature of the parrot is to be a parrot. In a material sense, he's always a parrot. So the soul is a jiva bhuta sanatana. This is what Krishna says. So we base our understanding on what the Supreme Lord says.
So because some people, when they say, I merge with my Krishna consciousness, I became God.
Well, that's an illusory idea.
It's an idea.
How you can become God.
So that is not correct, but you have to maintain your individuality.
Yes, because especially Vaishnav, they stress, I want to be an individual so that in a devotional way I can serve the Supreme Lord and His devotees. You see? The Mayavadi idea is, as you just described, I'll enter into the big field of consciousness and I'll become super conscious, I'll become God. That is a Buddhistic, illusory interpretation. It's in the Padma-param, Prishjanam Buddham, Mayavadam Ashakshastram, Prishjanam Buddham Uchyate. This is Lord Shiva talking to Devi. The Mayavad is in asakshastram. It is impious, illusory shastra. Prishjanam Buddham Uchyate. It is covered Buddhism. Buddhism believed that nothing beyond the material energy. It's another form of materialism. And then, O Devi, under the instructions in Kali Yuga, I propagate this illusory philosophy. So this illusory philosophy that everything is one, that is very strong now. The root is like men are the same as women. That is Mayavad. The root is Mayavad. The rich man is the same as the poor man. The learned man is the same as the fool in the street. Everything is equal. It's all one. This idea is based on this illusory idea. Everything is equal. There's no difference. So that's very strong in Kali Yuga. That's another form for you to wrestle with. You see, nowadays everyone wants to make everything one, right? But, is an apple the same as an orange? No. They're different. Is the man the same as the woman? No. They're different. Huh? If you say, it's ridiculous. A man can not have babies. A woman can. So, if you try to say everything is the same, this kind of stupidity, right? Is the professor the same as the student? No. The professor got the knowledge and the student is, please teach me. And this causes all these revolutionary ideas. We should be equal. Everyone is equality is impossible. It's just like some people are Mr. Amazon and some people are selling fruit at the front of the temple. Right? It's karma-phal.
But that's a material platform.
Yes. So in the spiritual platform, there's also difference. You see, why should we have... Krishna likes difference. There's some devotees in Sakyabhav, friendship. Some are in Vatsalyabhav. Some are in Madhuryabhav. And then within all these bhavas, there's millions and billions of categories. Like Baladev, he is the friend of Krishna, but he's the elder brother, so he also has a touch of Vatsalyabhav towards Krishna, right? He also feels, I have to protect. So in the spiritual world, all these different bhavas are there, and and it's all interacting in a beautiful, unselfish way. But in the material world, everyone is me. I have to control everything. And when they look at the difference, these philosophers, they think, I know how to make everything okay. We'll make everything equal. Is green paint the same as red paint? Is the Prime Minister... Say everyone thinks, I'm the Prime Minister of India. That means there is no Prime Minister. Right? If everyone is the temple president, there's going to be a lot of trouble. I'm the temple president. You are? No, you're not. I am. You're the temple president. Then we have to have structure in this, even the material world. We can't say everyone is equal, right? You understand? There has to be yes, equal spiritually, equal in quality, but we have different talents and abilities, right? Is Beethoven the same as the piano teacher in the village hall? Do, 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 do. And then Beethoven is writing these great symphonies. So there's difference and there's also equality. That's achincha bheda bhed. So that is reasonable. We have to recognize the difference. But then not be obsessed, but work from that position, our own individual position, towards realization of Krishna. You understand? So that doesn't matter if you're a woman or a man or a young or an old, or if you have a big brain or a small brain. It depends on your heart. You understand? Your sincerity. So we'll finish on that point. So thank you all very much. See you next Friday. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Bhagavad Gita ki Sadhu Sangha ki